If you're in your 40s and you've noticed that your belly seems to be expanding no matter what you do, you're not alone. In fact, this is one of the most common complaints I hear from people in this age group. And the frustrating part is that many of them are already exercising regularly. They're hitting the gym, they're doing cardio, and yet the belly fat just keeps accumulating. The reason this happens is more complex than simple calorie mathematics, and understanding it could be the key to finally getting the results you want. So if you want to learn why your body is changing, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more science-backed fitness and health content. Let's start with the most obvious culprit: hormones. Your body doesn't stay the same throughout your entire life. At around 40, your hormonal profile begins a significant shift. For men, testosterone levels start to decline at approximately 1% per year after age 30. This might not sound like much, but over a decade, that's a meaningful reduction in the hormone that helps maintain muscle mass and metabolic rate. For women, the hormonal changes are even more dramatic as they approach or enter menopause. Estrogen levels drop considerably, which shifts where your body prefers to store fat. Instead of the hips and thighs, fat increasingly gets deposited in the abdominal area, particularly around the organs. This isn't a personal failure. It's a biological reality that your body is literally programmed to change. But hormones aren't the whole story. Your metabolism is also slowing down, and this slowdown is more significant than most people realize. Between your 20s and your 40s, your resting metabolic rate can decrease by 10 to 15% if you don't actively maintain muscle mass. Muscle tissue burns calories even when you're not exercising. It's metabolically active. So when you lose muscle mass, which naturally happens as you age without resistance training, you're also losing one of your primary tools for burning calories throughout the day. This creates a vicious cycle where your body requires fewer calories to function, but many people don't adjust their eating habits accordingly. They eat the same amount they did in their 30s, but their body is now burning significantly less energy. Now let's talk about the thing that might shock you most. Excessive cardio could actually be making your belly fat problem worse. Most people think that more cardio equals more fat loss. And while cardio does burn calories during the session itself, chronic excessive cardio can have several negative effects on your physiology. First, it can actually increase cortisol, which is your stress hormone. When you do long, steady-state cardio sessions regularly, your body perceives this as a prolonged stressor. Cortisol is then released to help fuel this activity. And chronically elevated cortisol has a direct relationship with increased abdominal fat storage. Your body literally preferentially stores fat around your midsection when cortisol is elevated, because this fat is easier to mobilize for energy during stress. Second, excessive cardio without adequate muscle maintenance accelerates muscle loss. Remember, muscle is what keeps your metabolism elevated. When you do hours of cardio every week without incorporating resistance training, you're actually making the muscle loss problem worse. Your body becomes more efficient at running, which means it needs fewer muscles to perform that task. So you end up burning calories during the cardio session, but you've lost some of the engine that burns calories all day long. Over time, this is a losing proposition. You're working harder to achieve less metabolic benefit. Third, and this is really important, excessive cardio can dysregulate your hunger hormones. Studies have shown that people who do high volumes of steady-state cardio often experience increased appetite, particularly for carbohydrates. This happens because your body is trying to refuel and recover from the constant stress. So you might burn 500 calories on a 45-minute run, but then you end up eating an extra 600 calories over the next few hours because your appetite is elevated. The math doesn't work out in your favor. You're actually worse off than if you'd done less cardio and been more disciplined with your nutrition. So what should you actually be doing instead? The answer is a combination of three things, and they all work together synergistically. First, you need to prioritize resistance training. This is non-negotiable if you want to maintain metabolic health in your 40s and beyond. resistance training preserves and builds muscle tissue, which keeps your resting metabolic rate elevated. It also improves insulin sensitivity, which is crucial because your insulin sensitivity naturally declines with age. When you're more insulin sensitive, your body is less likely to store excess carbohydrates as fat. Plus, resistance training doesn't elevate cortisol the way excessive cardio does. A well-designed strength training session creates an anabolic stimulus that actually supports fat loss while preserving muscle. Second, if you're going to do cardio, make it strategic and varied. Instead of spending an hour on the treadmill 5 days a week, consider doing shorter, more intense sessions. High-intensity interval training, or HIIT, can be incredibly effective for fat loss because it creates an afterburn effect, meaning your body continues to burn calories for hours after the session ends. It also doesn't elevate cortisol the way steady-state cardio does because the sessions are shorter. You might do 3 or 4 sessions per week of 15 to 20 minutes of HIIT instead of multiple long cardio sessions. The results will likely be better, and you'll spend less time exercising. Third, you need to dial in your nutrition. This is where most people fail, and it's also where the most dramatic changes can happen. In your 40s, your body is less forgiving of excess calories. You can't eat the same way you did in your 30s. You need to prioritize protein, because protein has the highest thermic effect of any macronutrient, meaning your body burns calories just digesting it. Protein also helps preserve muscle mass during the aging process. Aim for at least 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Beyond protein, focus on whole, unprocessed foods. Your digestive system becomes less efficient with age, and ultra-processed foods create metabolic stress that makes fat loss harder. You should also pay attention to your sleep and stress management. These might seem unrelated to belly fat, but they're absolutely critical. Poor sleep elevates cortisol and ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone. It also reduces leptin, which is your satiety hormone. So, if you're sleeping 5 or 6 hours a night, you're literally making it harder for your body to lose fat, no matter how hard you exercise or how carefully you eat. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep. Managing stress through meditation, deep breathing, or other practices also helps keep cortisol in check. Another factor that many people overlook is alcohol consumption. Alcohol is calorically dense, and your body prioritizes burning alcohol over fat when you've consumed it. Plus, alcohol disrupts sleep quality and elevates cortisol. If you're serious about losing belly fat in your 40s, reducing alcohol intake should be part of your strategy. You don't have to eliminate it completely, but if you're having multiple drinks several nights per week, that's likely a significant contributor to your expanding waistline. Let me also address the idea of spot reduction, because I know many of you are hoping that you can specifically target belly fat. Unfortunately, you can't choose where your body loses fat from. Genetics largely determines your fat loss pattern. However, the good news is that when you do lose fat, you tend to lose it from the areas where you stored it most recently. Since you've probably been storing fat in your belly in recent years, that's often one of the first places it comes off when you create the right conditions for fat loss. But this only happens if you're in a caloric deficit, which means you're burning more calories than you're consuming. Let me paint you a picture of what the ideal approach looks like for someone in their 40s. Monday through Friday, you're doing 3 days of resistance training, each session lasting 45 minutes to an hour. These sessions are challenging and progressive, meaning you're gradually increasing the weight or reps over time. You're doing 2 days of lighter activity, perhaps a 20-minute walk or some gentle stretching. 1 or 2 days per week, you're doing a short, intense HIIT session of 15 to 20 minutes. That's it. You're not spending hours at the gym. You're being strategic with your time. Your nutrition is dialed in. You're eating whole foods, prioritizing protein, and maintaining a modest caloric deficit, maybe 300 to 500 calories below your maintenance level. You're sleeping 7 to 8 hours per night, managing stress effectively, and limiting alcohol. If you do all of this consistently for 12 weeks, the changes will be dramatic. You'll likely lose belly fat while actually gaining or maintaining muscle mass. Your energy levels will improve because you're maintaining metabolic health. Your clothes will fit differently. And most importantly, you'll feel better. You'll feel stronger, more capable, and more confident in your own body. That's the real win here, not just a number on the scale. I want to be realistic about one thing. If you've been doing excessive cardio for years and not getting results, It might take your body a little time to adapt to a new approach. Your metabolism might have become somewhat suppressed from chronic cardio and undereating. This is called adaptive thermogenesis. In the first few weeks of making these changes, you might not see dramatic results. But if you stick with it, your body will adapt, your metabolism will rebound, and the fat will start coming off, particularly from the belly.